So allegedly SGDQ 2023 happened. For Americans, when they do these event organizations, they usually have to give it like very weird names. For instance, starting it on May 28th. But apparently the meteorological summer is on June 1st. But you know, push it 3 days ahead. You already are in Pride Month then. It's all good. It's all good. Oh well, whatever. So I first noticed it only on May 30th. I wasn't sure if I was gonna watch it. Didn't know if I had the time for it. But apparently I made some for it anyway. And I started my tweets on the 30th when I first noticed it. And I did like a little thread that I will use as a blueprint for this video where I'll just like go through like every single tweet and mention that I made. And I'll just use that as my script loosely. So first up, the overlay. The main overlay of SGDQ was pretty nifty. Was pretty good. Was pretty slick. Pretty clean. My biggest beef with it is probably the donation tracker. Not because it's bad or anything. I actually think it's rather good. I'm just not that sure if you have the rights from Square for the Dragon Quest 1 or the OK from Toby Fox as the donation tracker. I think he is likelier to give you that right, but I just get that like above board and request the OK from every single party. Especially the Spiral one too. Could be a little bit dodgy, my friends. Could be a little bit dodgy. I don't think you're getting into a lawsuit, but because you use these IPs, yeah, you're kind of... I think you're like really like walking a very thin line there when you do that. Of course, we can't... We'd be remiss to mention the pronouns. That is very important. Now a real foundational part of the overlay, where it has to be written in all the time in the lower right box. And for a lot of runners, the first few days, it actually cut into the overlay with it. Because their names were too long and it was cut off by the pronoun. Very nice, very nice. At least it was just like the lower part of the letter. But it did look like shit. It did look like amateur hour. They finally had like audio trackers to see who's speaking when. So especially like people who have no idea who they're looking at. Especially like when people come in new. And when it's just a runner you don't know. Can you believe it that not everybody knows the entire fucking scene? It's just incredible, just incredible. So they finally added that. It looks very neat as well with how they did it. With the idea behind it. I've always liked the overlays that they made, but especially that with the audio thing, like who's speaking, is like stuff that probably has been solved by streamers before with like the Discord thing when you like see who talks and like the bubble pops up. So, I think a little bit late on that. But better never than late, I guess, with GDQ. Oh, wait. No, other way around. Very important. That definitely had to happen. Definitely a very natural idea that people weren't struggling with of how to make happen, I guess. Don't worry, GDQ are very competent people. So then I saw a shout out to an event by Grand Pooh Bear, and only later I would realize that Grand Pooh Bear actually went to the event himself. So you know what? Here you go, OmniGamer. Now he will be known for the rest of his life for making speedrun events. And you just that fucking speedrun book. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then later on they would go on to fix the pronouns, I think on June 1st. Because the main runners... one was red in the lower right box, and it was completely unintelligible because that red font that they have selected is completely unreadable, even if you have like full HD. It's so unreadable. It was so garbage and fucking crummy. Bad. June 2nd, Lista, of course, GDQ staff, very important by the way, alleges that someone stole all their electronical equipment from a World 9 person. I think the current contract that they must have with them is like that they... I'm not sure. This is always the thing. I can't really like get very specific with my language here because I don't know this. I think they are... By now, they probably just hired instead of a sponsor like before. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was like somewhere like... halfway somewhere in between. And Lista alleges that someone just walked in, took all of the equipment that they had on them, all the electronics, and walked out the building. And Lista also says that the name of that person is Dex. And that he doesn't deserve this shit. And also says in a response that they have the woman, we have her on camera, is what Listar has said. So, of course, problem number one, the photo of this incident didn't happen. There is no follow-up from the Dex guy himself, from this World 9 person. It does seem like a little bit of a fake PR stunt that didn't really work out. And also, just as a reminder, Listar, because even I need to be reminded of this all the time, because you can't see who's fucking staff at SGDQ, because you have to go full investigative journalist to find out who's actually who and what position they claim. And Listar is GDQ staff. So Listar, by the way, as a complete idiot, decided to tweet this out. If I see this as a sponsor, and at the time when I took my screenshot, only 1,609 views, so I don't think they have to worry all that much. But if I saw that as a sponsor, that basically you are not doing anything for security, that somebody can just come in and steal shit like that, and no one does anything, but they have them on camera, that makes me feel things. That makes me feel like, yeah, I'm definitely not going back to you. I'm not going to give you other sponsor opportunities. Would be not a good idea for me. Apparently, people can just do that. And I talked with somebody who also is more or less like in the business of legal stuff, and who knows their stuff, and they believe that this is completely made up, and that this is a fake PR stunt, as I just said. And the problem is there was never a follow-up from Lista, because Lista then the next 2 days would go on to tweet him or herself. I actually don't know. Fucking goblin. That's all I know about Listar anyway. By this point, and I can't be bothered to check. Decided to tweet out that they're playing Mahjong. And more importantly, that they broke a nail and they know a lesbian, and that lesbian had a nail clipper in her purse. It's just incredible. It's not something that some women just happen to have on them in their purse. I've also never been with a woman before. I don't know how I've gained this esoteric knowledge that women carry a lot of shit in their purses. It's actually impressive. But apparently it's only lesbians that do that, so the girl that I was with must have been lesbian. It's so fucking funny. Anyway, then I saw some cope from Wooferzy in particular on low viewing numbers, because he tweeted out that, like, I think the highest peak was like 60k people viewing at any given time, and a lot of the graveyard shifts that they did with like shit games for nighttime, where both EU can't watch and where Americans are asleep, was like, I believe in 25k or something like that. So that's a pretty huge dip. And the thing is, he only gave a comparison from 2019. But I believe that the last few years have been in a 100k mark. This is also another problem with sponsors. This is also true for esports, because they need to, like, they not only do you need to make it a deliverable, and you need to, like, prove these people have come from this and this service and have purchased this and this much and have used this and that code. I don't even know how GDQ sits there and goes like, yeah, we can activate this Red Bull sponsorship. How? We will make a Red Bull recap. Yet weirdly enough, for all the interviews, they have the Red Bull mini fridge next to them, just like fucking ESA had. They didn't talk about it though. You have to fucking make your sponsors feel good about them. Like, try different flavors. There's so much easy stuff that you can do. You could literally make content, by the way. Easiest fucking content ever. It's like, get a few people that are well liked, like big faces like Spike Vegeta, J-Hobbs and whatnot, and get them to try like 5 or 6, 7 different flavors. And by the way, this is like what happened to Edenall, by the way, where he had 2 very brain-dead chicks on who said, man, Red Bull is so disgusting. By the way, I also think it is disgusting, but if it is your sponsor, you shouldn't be caught saying that. It's different. You shouldn't say that when they sponsor you. I don't think I have to explain this. And Linkus and Cheese were also in there with some takes of their own. That didn't even involve anything of, like, you know, the usual gender mania shit. But there are other factors. I believe Cheese is who said... No, Linkus was it. I should have made receipts. Anyway, I think one of them said that they make more decisions for their in-community instead of broader appeal, which is absolutely fucking true. And she said that the community also wants to go in a different direction than GDQ wants to go in, because GDQ doesn't have a direction. They have streams on every single week to make as much money as possible right now. And they want to activate you as a Twitch viewer to donate to them, to give them money, buy the merch on the Yeti, and so on and so forth. And Fangamer, I believe they also probably have to have a deal with Fangamer, so they get a cut. Never forget, guys, the Yeti doesn't give all their fucking proceeds to the charity. They only give $1. We don't know what the split is between GDQ and the Yeti. Yeti will never say that. So there you go. Also, Yeti really likes to style on you if you have a problem with their shirt designs or anything else. So then I'm basically just molding, apparently, because the usual thing that I just didn't think about, but there's a lot of NA centrism in games done quick. Perfectly normal, by the way, that Americans who think America first only put good games in the good spots and the thing that everybody wants to watch. Right? Because everybody wants to fucking watch primetime Pokemon Colosseum. Look, I don't care if you like the game or if you hate the game, if you like the speedrun or if you dislike the speedrun, but it's just not interesting to watch. And you put it on a prime time slot. And prime time for US, by the way, is between 7 to 9 p.m. And it's a 3-hour run. For Europeans, this means effectively 4 to 5 a.m. Yeah, I'm not staying up for Pokemon Colosseum, sorry, I'm gonna fall asleep. And I think they did a lot of people on the graveyard shift absolute fucking dirty, because they had some really fun games. There was Big Law there doing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Underground, and they put him on the fucking graveyard shift. But Big Law, I think, if I remember correctly, I haven't kept up with him very much. He was a total G from when I talked to him in I believe it was Nizzy's Discord. Must have been, probably. Really good guy, very entertaining, and he gets a really good game. I think Underground personally is a little bit more boring, but it's not as offensive as the other games that have more weird quests that you do. I don't know. I didn't like the later entries. I think that Pro Skater 2 or whatever it was is probably one of the better ones, but it's also much easier to run. There's way more high octane action, so it's just funnier to me. But I think they really did him dirty by putting him on the graveyard shift for such a good game. And then Colosseum, yeah, we'll put that in the primetime slot. But why? It's Pokemon. Alright, give me a break. Get me away, get me out. And the next day they do the same shit again, put Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And I ended up watching it a little bit, and what's so interesting about this speedrun in particular, I just want to know. I just want to talk to people who can explain to me how basically just steamrolling with one Pokemon, the Elite Four, the champ, and then the rematch with the rival, apparently. So 6 fights that you can all beat with just one Pokemon in your party, and you don't need to worry about anything, unless you get critted by a mob, by a mon, I guess. But otherwise, it's fucking hilarious. Then I had a little bit of a mold about the Super Mario Bros. Community being there. Especially Cosmic and other. I think Cosmic was calling, but they had people there on the stage. I think the gimmick was that it was a one-hand run. Very good one, too. Got very lucky. It would appear, or ever just got all the tricks that they needed to do. I still have a really big bone to pick with the SMB community after the Lukuki disaster. And I don't think they've ever redeemed themselves in any way, shape, or form. So, I don't know, I'm completely out on SMB. It's a completely fucking incestuous board that I would never entertain for anything ever again. But I guess Kotaku and others were right about you. And after all, this is where fucking Cosmic slipped up so bad when he said that in the chat. And I believe it was in the SMB Discord itself even. And he said something along the lines of, yeah, we get media attention, so we want to make sure everything is above board. So when Niftsky then gets a world record that beats the time of Lukuki, you immediately auto-verify it, because he is trustworthy. And you don't put him through a 6-month cock and ball torture. That's how it works. You fucking cretin. I also then would weigh in on the Pokemon. Yeah, see now. I'm just like, what the fuck was going on? Oh no. She was going on a rant. It's a day ending on Y. Big problem I have with the Pokemon speedruns is that the knowledge base is very impressive, but you can't translate that into the viewership. You can't just sit there like for hours and hours and talk about the runs and the strategy. It's just boring. And you're doing an event. Be a little bit entertaining. Like, do a little twirl. Do something that's remotely interesting. And towards the end, then, I've noticed a lot of the time, and I think I probably should have caught on to that sooner, but they wear masks. It was a face diaper event. It was very important. By the way, esports events that are far bigger than GDQ, have far bigger venues, no longer have that mask requirement. The LCS doesn't, the LEC didn't. MSI didn't do it. But hey, because GDQ basically didn't get the memo, they had to have them with face diapers on. And what really ticked me off was their inconsistency on the interview stations. Because I would like see Kung Fu Fruit Cup. She had like a fucking orange mask. Like, it looked like she was just like a chick. Unironically. Also because she just colors her hair in that sort of hair pattern. And looked like a fucking beak. And then she would interview people sometimes with and without. And others were on mask, others didn't. And some people who ran the game had masks on and some didn't. But the entire row that was sitting to watch the games actually in live in person had to wear a mask. This differential enforcement, I think, is the thing that pisses me off the most. More like, I can at least just laugh at the fact that you still force people to wear these face diapers when other much larger events no longer do that. Uyama held a nice little cope speech. I think you could have used ChatGPT for him. I think Mike Uyama, Edenall, and Reginald Din from TSM are probably all within the same league of you want to have these people as the main head because people like them, even though they're very suspicious, weird, or kind of shitty. But people like them. Just don't let them speak ever. Because Mike Uyama will just pop off on people on Reddit and other things. Just like Regibro did. And just completely make himself look like an ass. And I mean the donkey, by the way. Because that's the intelligence of the speech. So he says, we didn't meet 3 million. I know people are sad about that. And not as many people watched it. Because not a lot of people knew it was going on. It's just like, come on, just stop the cope, dude. Maybe GDQ just isn't as relevant anymore. Also, we're in the esports winter, and he's complaining about getting $1 million less in donations. By the way, it's not all about the amount of donations, it's the fact that you donate, right? It's for the good cause. But get a big donation number. I don't know how the speedrun community ever had this, like, under the same hat and, like, didn't just completely burst with the contradiction of it. But there you go. Then I had some fun. I was talking with a friend about this shit. And we were talking about the Rush channel. Because I'm like a former quote-unquote staffer on it. And man, it was wild. So I checked the channel. Hardly any views on there. Like, if it's lucky, it can break maybe the 500 views. So I happened to watch a video where Edenall apparently like did a live breakdown of news, and I sent this to people like in like a timestamp. I just asked like, how many jump cuts? How many jump cuts can you count? And I believe like when he gets into that video, I put it on my Twitter, that tweet. Oh, you go on the channel yourself. It's called now Rapid Universal Speedrun Highlights. And check the video number 2 from him. What's it called? Minecraft Anti-Cheat Rush News 2. You will just see that man cannot get a sentence out without tripping over himself. You know, I had some verbal faux pas here and there. But man, I'm also not the fucking chair of like a business like that. And then I decide, you know what? I need to do this for my own little ego trip. Just like, by the way, Break the Record Life is. That is an absolute ego trip. You can't even, like, deny that. And he just can't hold a speech. He needs 15 to 20 jump cuts to get through one sentence. And the thing is, the jump cuts are so obvious because he's standing. If you can't hold a speech like that, what you do is you keep sitting in roughly the same position. You angle the arms the same way and everything and make sure that nothing in the scenery can change. But he had to do it standing. And he does arm movements. He stands slightly less, like more to the left, because it's very difficult to always stand in the same spot, unless, I guess, you like put like footprints over there. Exactly where you want to stand. The cameraman says, yeah, this is like the same. No one will notice. But it was so obviously and so noticeable. And Lexi, by the way, completely threw him under the bus in the comments. And said that she will keep doing bloopers. And that they will also use other cutting techniques to make it less obvious. By the way, there has not been Rush News 3 at all. I think that idea completely died because it hardly got any views. And little Edenall must have hoped that he would get like 100,000 views on it because he puts his face on it. I mean, those are the most recent. Yeah, and the most, like, for the 4 months, because he had like a month break in between these videos apparently. 539 views at the time of like looking when I took the screenshot, and 662 on that Rush News number 2. Great. Great. Love it. Love it. Of course, also so far no new upload. I love it. Because I know that he bought this channel from Rush, the man himself behind the channel. I hope this never comes back to you in return, because there is no ROI here. Like, I told him, you should make probably like an ESA subreddit or something like that. And he was like, nah, it's too late for that. That would never work. Buys the channel for about... I'm not sure, I don't have the exact number. I can only speculate. But if I had to imagine Rush and the viewership, and maybe Edenall's propensity to spend money, I would say that we're probably talking about 1,000 to like maybe 3 digits, 500, 600. I would say. I don't know. But we are also 4 or 5 apocalypses in. And he buys it now. And he can hardly get a view on it. At least Lexi has a new working place. I'm so glad for you. You fucking traitor. You little backstabber. Not only, by the way, is Lexi a piece of shit, but Lexi would even work with what we would have more or less understood with someone who is antagonistic to us. What a backstabbing cunt. Can't believe it. But yeah, I watched the video and I was like, oh my god, why is this happening? He even listed the summer events off, like in no particular order. And then he starts going through the 4 that he's mentioned, and Lexi doesn't put them up on screen when they happen in chronological order, but even Edenall sits there and doesn't go through them properly. There's no fix for that. I don't even know what to say to that. It is such fucking amateur hour. So by the way, when the next time when you want to defend ESA, GDQ or something like that, don't forget, you are basically protecting absolute fucking incompetent little kids who are playing at old. Basically, you're like esports. Yeah, I've also heard that Edenall did a deal with an esport. I believe it was called Echo Esports. No idea who that is. Never heard of them in the esports space. And I do watch a little bit of esports here and there. I know they list Perfecto as one of the names there, which I know from the name. I think that was a CS player. But there's just nothing to it. Anyway, I'm just gonna probably borrow the phrase from the Four Horsemen here and say speedrun delenda est. And I hope I'll never have to talk to you about this ever again, because I hope that ESA and GDQ are dead by the end of the year. Who knows? Maybe I get lucky. But yeah, not esports delenda est, although that too, but speedrun delenda est. I hope you all fucking rot in your filth. Bye.